Welcome to PCTV. I'm Nizar
And I'm Jared.
And today on PCTV we're going to be showing you a few kind of technical things. Like, what were we going over, Jared?
Well, we wanted to look at the BIOS.
What is the BIOS?
The BIOS. And the BIOS is your basic input-output system. Think of it as a really simple, low-level operating system for your computer.
Right.
So it allows you to configure really low-level hardware settings about the device before your operating system, Windows, even loads.
So the BIOS, this is the thing where when you first start up your computer, you'll see a thing saying press F9 or some other F function key in order to get into your BIOS. It's just like the shell that comes up prior to your operating system loading. So before Windows pops up or before any other operating system pops up, you'll get your BIOS settings pop up first, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
So it used to have to, in the heydays of computing, deal with the BIOS a lot. Now you don't really. However, we were going to show a couple of useful things if you wanted to boot a different operating system or rebuild your computer.
Sure.
So there's some things there.
And that's when the BIOS is crucial.
Okay. So, Nizar, we have here a slightly older laptop.
Yes, it is.
And we're going to go into the BIOS. You have to be quick when the computer's starting up to hit the right key.
It'll tell you what key to push, but it's very quick, so you have to make sure that you're ready to hit that function key, whatever it tells you it is. So let's turn it on.
Okay, this one's F2, so we'll see how we go.
Turn it on. Hit F2 as soon as it pops up.
And we're going in, and here
And
we
there's your BIOS.
Okay, so yeah, this is the sort of more standard and older style BIOS. In here, it'll give you basic hardware information about your machine. And we can move through to show you the clock. The clock is very important.
Now, when you're moving through, are you just tabbing or are you moving with the arrow?
I'm using the little arrow keys.
Right, okay.
Everything's on the keyboard here.
And the tabs are on across the top of the page, as you can see: information, main, security, boot, exit.
That's right. So
now, for this particular demonstration, what we want to do is we want to get into the boot setup, because we want to, let's say that you want to load an operating system from disk or reinstall your operating system or put in another operating system. Then you need to make it boot from the disk. As you can see here, it says that it's booting from the IDE HDD, but that's your hard drive, and that's where your operating system is stored.
So it's got this priority order here. So you can change that and set which data devices the computer will look at first in order to find an operating system to load. So, generally you would want the hard drive because that's where your operating system is installed. But some operating systems, like some Linux versions, you can boot from a USB device.
Yep.
Or you may want the computer to look at the CD-ROM or DVD first if you're reinstalling Windows or something.
And when you highlight each one of those options, it gives you a little explanation as to what it does.
That's right. So that's pretty important. So in this case, we would probably, so F5, F6 to change values. See how we're moving them around here?
Yeah, so the bottom bar down the bottom tells you exactly what you need to press in order to change those values.
So if we wanted to do a CD thing, for example, I would just change the IDE hard drive, HDD here, and flip it over with the IDE CD. So
that's right.
A CD-ROM, and if you put a CD, it would try to read from there first, and it would find a setup for a new version of Windows or something.
Excellent.
Excellent. All right, so maybe we should look at a little more modern BIOS.
Yeah, let's have a look at a graphical interface BIOS.
Okay. Here we hope. Here we go. Hitting delete. And here we are. This is a UEFI BIOS. So you can see it shows you a graphical representation of the motherboard, and you can go through and essentially click on the components that you want to alter.
Wow.
So it's come along a little ways.
Come a long way since the text, hasn't it?
Yes, it certainly has. Now, this is a gigabyte board, so it's a proprietary thing, but a lot of the other manufacturers like Asus and so forth are doing similar stuff.
That's right. They've all got they each have their own type of proprietary graphical interface, but it always covers the same things.
This one has got a lot of settings for overclocking, which is something people want to do for gaming machines and so forth a lot. But it still also has the same features as we saw before. We can go through various bits here, and you can see here's the boot option priorities, just like we saw before.
So once again, if you get into this section, you can always change your boot order so that it doesn't necessarily have to boot up directly from the hard drive. You can boot up from a USB or from a CD-ROM or DVD, and that's exactly why we're here.
That's right. So looking here, we've got the Windows installation as the primary device, it's the boot manager. But if we wanted to force it to say read from the DVD, we could change this to this Pioneer DVD, and it'll look there before looking to the hard drive.
So you need to look for the manufacturer of your DVD there in that instance because it came up as Pioneer, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've also got some other settings these days around power management.
Yeah.
You know, to save power, things will hibernate, go to sleep, and so forth. Sometimes you don't want that, so you want to switch it off. But yeah, same sort of features, more to do, and of course it's got this nifty
3D graphical interface. That's crazy good. Now, as we said, for the purposes of what we're doing, we only want to change the boot order priority, and you really don't want to, if you're not well versed in your computer system, then you don't want to play around in here too much because you might cause some problems. However, if you do need to boot off a DVD or a USB, then this is the place to go.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. I like your interface.
Thanks.
Okay, so we've talked about the BIOS, and now we want to show you something about the command line. Now, the command line, CMD if you will, is a useful tool for you if you wanted to. Let's say you have a router on your network and you've forgotten what the IP address for the router is and you want to log into your router, you need to know that IP address. Now, there is a tool within your operating system that allows you to find that out.
Yeah, the command prompt is a little shell, basic text that you can put some commands into that will reveal useful information. So the one we were going to look at was ipconfig.
Yep, that's the one.
ipconfig is a little command that'll give you some details about your network connections and addresses.
I know it sounds a little bit techie, but don't worry, we will guide you through it step by step. And you'll find that it's actually not that technical.
Yeah, it can be useful if you're troubleshooting and things aren't working.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at that. All right, Jared, so now let's show people how to get into their command line prompt if they want to find out where their router is, but they've forgotten the IP address, for example.
Sure, well, the command prompt is a little shell that gives you access to a bunch of commands.
Yep.
And we'll look at particular ones. So
how do we get there?
Easiest way, I find, is just to go to the start button.
Yep.
And type CMD.
In the search bar, sure.
And you'll see it comes up. There's a program there, cmd.exe.
So let's click on it.
You hit that and you get the command prompt.
All right, so as you can see, it's a it's not graphical at all. It's all text.
Yes, that's right. It's ASCII.
Yeah.
ASCII text.
And for this one, we want to find the IP address. Now, remember, the IP address is for it's the ease of finding something. Let's compare it to the registration on your car. Now, every single device on your system will have its own IP address, just like a registration on your number plate. And if you wanted to find your router, then you can find that by typing in the command ipconfig.
ipconfig. That
config. Then backslash, space backslash, all. And that tells us everything. As you can see, there's a lot of information there. Now let's go through a couple of them.
Well, one that's pretty important, well, not for most people and everything, but the real unique identifier of your network card is this here, this physical address.
Yep.
All right. Every network card in the world has a different.
Yeah, and your network card is just the connection basically to your network.
And that's sometimes called your MAC address.
Yeah.
Then probably the other important thing is your IPv4 address. That's the address that you're getting assigned. And as you were saying before about the your router, that's actually your default gateway.
Yep.
So that's this one here.
Yep. So if I wanted to log into my router, then I'd open a web browser and I would type in that address, correct?
That's right. So if we mark that one, you can see 192.1.1. This can vary. Sometimes it's 0.1.
Yeah.
Mine
is 0.254, for example.
Yeah, but they tend to be about the same. So we can go into a browser and we can attach to our router.
Yeah, and there you go. That was our router right there.
There's a lot of other stuff in there, but that's the main thing. we get queried a lot. How do I connect to my router? What is it?
Yeah.
So if you
those addresses that you see, the top one, the IPv4 one, 6 one, that's actually given to you by your router, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yep. And if you had a printer on there, or if you had anything else, then it would probably pop up.
On your network, it would. Here, it'll just be talking about the network devices directly attached to your computer.
That's right.
Yeah. So, maybe we should do that one more time.
Yep.
We just go to CMD.
Yep.
And we type IP
config.
And we can get, in fact, if we don't do the /all,
it'll just
we just get the basic stuff.
Yeah.
And that'll still give you really what we talked about just there.
There's your default gateway. Now remember, the default gateway is always your router.
Yeah, it's your gateway to the internet.
That's correct. Excellent. So if you have forgotten your IP address and you want to find out because you want to log into your router and change any settings or whatever, then this is a very, very useful tool. Welcome back to PCTV. In this segment of Indispensables, we're going to show you a couple of keyboard shortcuts which are very indispensable, especially if you have like errors that you want to show a technical expert and maybe get an idea of what's going on with your screen or what's going on with your computer. Then there's a way to take a snapshot of your computer screen without having to actually use your mobile phone and then try to upload it and try to make it as difficult as possible for the technical specialist. So what we're going to show you right now is how to do a print screen initially. Jared, do you want to open up Notepad for us?
Let's have a look.
And we'll use that as a demo.
Okay.
There it is at the top.
So we have a Notepad window.
Yeah, now let's type something we want. This is the screen. Oh, it's interesting that this doesn't want to take. Anyway, is the screen.
No.
It doesn't really matter.
No.
With print screen.
Yeah. So this is the print screen key. It's been on keyboards forever.
Yeah.
And
it's one of those keys, I think, that people look at the top of their keyboard and they go, I wonder what print screen means.
Well, it prints the screen to the clipboard.
Right. So how do we do that?
Well, if you just hit the button itself, it'll take a copy of the entire screen.
Right.
However, I think what is more useful...
Well, let's have a look, though, at the entire screen that you just took a print of. So how do we do that? We open up, I guess, Paint.
Yes.
So we go into all programs, and you can either type it into the search bar there, like Jared just did, and all you need to do is, there you go.
So, as you can see, that's a...
So what I just did was pasted, because what it did was, it's like taking a copy of the screen, so then you need to obviously paste. Once you copy, you need to paste.
It puts it on a thing called the clipboard.
Yep.
Which is a little bit of memory that it can store temporarily.
Yeah.
So that's a whole screen.
Yeah.
But
now,
again,
another way to get to Paint, obviously, is you can go all programs, accessories, you'll find Paint. Paint is something you can always put up, so we'll use that.
Sure. So another thing that we can do here,
yeah,
we'll just have a new window,
yeah,
is Alt Print Screen, which I think is more useful. It takes a copy of the currently active window.
Right.
So the window that is in focus. So we're looking at this one here. If we hit Alt Print Screen and we go back to our Paint and
Control
we paste
V.
it, it's just that little window.
Ah!
So
right,
that is
much more focused.
Yeah, and you can paste that into anything, Word, an email, Outlook. So again, as you were saying, for technical support, if you have an error that comes up on your screen, error 12345, rather than trying to write that down or certainly taking a photograph with your phone of the screen, which people do,
and then try to upload it.
And try to upload it, I mean, that's just a hassle. So you just hit Alt Print Screen, when that error comes up, paste it into your email or whoever you want to send it to.
Yep.
There you go.
That's really, really useful, and it is completely indispensable for your technical specialist, especially if something goes wrong and you get an error and you don't know what it is and you have to like try to remember what the error is. This is a much, much easier way of doing it.
That's right.
Good, cool. All right.
Okay,
so
what else we got?
Well, I was going to say, if you, let's say, because we've got two Google windows open here. Now, if I wanted to see both of them and I wanted to, we've shown you how to snap to the side using the mouse. Obviously, you can just pull it to the side and it'll snap most of the time like that. if you don't have a mouse or you want to do it using a keyboard shortcut, so you just hit the Windows key and left and it goes. And then I can click on the other screen, the other Google, and hit Windows key and right, and it snaps. So if that was documents, we could still drag and drop. We can go all the way across, and it's very useful if you want to have two side-by-side screens.
For comparisons, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really cool. Now let's say that you're going in Google here, right, and we'll full screen it for a second, right, and you wanted to go, we've got World Cup up there because that was what was on there. And if I wanted to go into news about the World Cup as it happened, all this type of thing, right? If I wanted to go back one page, what you can do is hit the Alt button and then the left key, which is the back key, and that'll actually take you back to the page you were just on. So if you, let's say you get an error where something times out and you want to go backwards and you want to do it really quickly, then all you can do is just hit the Alt button and the back screen, and it goes back, and it goes back one page that you've looked at.
As an alternative to the button up here.
Yeah, as an alternative to the back button.
So there's pretty much a way of doing
there's always
everything with a keyboard.
There's always a keyboard shortcut that can help you do things, especially useful if, let's say, you have stuffed up your mouse, or if you've only got the pad and you don't want to use the little pad there in your laptop, then using the keyboard shortcuts is always really fast.
Yeah, I know some people that know them very well, and they're very quick, and they get around the place with the keyboard a lot actually easier than the mouse or certainly trackpad.
Definitely, especially technical people, they really like to use their keyboard shortcuts a lot more than using the GUI, which is your graphic user interface.
Yes.
So now, while we're in Internet Explorer, we wanted to show you a couple of other things. Now, if you go into the settings button at the top where it says tools, right, and click on that, and we'll go into safety for a second. Okay. So now, if I wanted to go to in private browsing, okay, now in private browsing, what it does basically is if you have, let's say, a computer which is used by the whole family and you don't necessarily want the rest of the family to see websites you've been to, or if you have children and you find that it might be inappropriate for them to go looking in your browsing history, then if you use in private browsing, which is what you see right here, what it will do is and as it says right here, it says that it won't store the data, which includes cookies, temporary internet files, and history, and it won't track that and put it into your browsing history at all. And so then in that way, when you close the browser from whatever site you've seen, it won't have any record that you've been there, which is really, really good. I mean, and it's especially helpful if you want to sort of minimize the spam, because as you know, advertising is based on your browsing history. So if you want to minimize that spam, then you just turn on in private browsing. It's a feature of Windows Explorer, and it will stop that from happening.
Yeah. The two main ways that, I guess, web browsing is now tracked for advertising is cookies, which are a small little placeholder. They call them tracking cookies. It lets you know where you've been and your IP address. Cool. So this won't help the IP, but it'll certainly help with the cookies.
Excellent. So we hope that you found that useful. So welcome back to PCTV. Now, as you know, we just did some technical things, and we'd like to remind you that your computer isn't just technical stuff. I mean, there is also a lot of entertainment value that you can get out of your computer, and that's why we have the segment Fun Stuff, where we try to show you things that we find really, really useful or entertaining from the internet. So today, we're going to look at a couple of them, one audio and one visual. And the first one I think we're going to do is SoundCloud?
Yeah, SoundCloud.
Tell me about SoundCloud, Jared.
Well, it's a site where a lot of artists and musicians upload their work. There's a lot of DJs, remixes, there's all sorts of stuff up there. But it's a nice interface, and it gives high quality music, and it's an opportunity to listen to stuff that hasn't been released and whatnot.
That's really good. Is it free?
It is free, I think. It's certainly free to join and upload, but there might be some other options there.
Let's Google it.
Okay, let's have a look. SoundCloud. So it comes up there.
Share your sounds.
Share your sounds. There you go.
Alright, hear the world sounds and explore the largest community of artists, bands, podcasters, and creators of music and audio.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So you can sign up or sign in and get some favorites and so forth, or you can just hit explore up here and have a look at what's available. So this is how it comes up. So you can even see here that some people have made comments at certain parts of the song.
Oh, right. So you can like dissect a song and drill down into it and show what bits you like most.
That's right.
So is it basically like almost like a forum for people to comment on stuff?
Definitely, yeah.
Right.
Lots of
Instant
sharing.
feedback.
Yeah.
And I can see it's broken down to all these different types of categories of music, which is really, really good.
That's right. So you can see there's a lot of electronica on here as well, but everything else. I have some friends who do remixes of things.
So this is established artists as well as amateurs, complete amateurs, right?
Definitely.
All right, so I can see that it's categorized down the side. It seems to be having a lot of flavors, different types of music.
Yeah, that's right. There's all sorts here. It's a lot of electronic gear, but every kind of genre of music.
And you get some instant feedback, I guess, from the people that listen to your stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to basically keep your finger on the pulse for new musical sounds and new musical artists that are coming up. And it's free, which is obviously one of the most important things. That's really good.
Yeah.
I like it.
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. Okay, cool. So that's our audio component. Now, if you wanted to see something a little bit more visual, how about we check out TED Talks?
TED Talks. They're great. Okay, so we'll go back to the Google here.
Yep.
And let's...
Now, TED's an acronym, isn't it? It stands for something.
That's right. It's technology...
Entertainment,
design or something?
Design, yeah.
We'll find out here in a minute. So, here we go.
TED, ideas worth spreading.
Ideas worth spreading. So, this is quite huge. The TED Talks happen all over the place, from the Opera House to all over the place. I mean, it's really...
It seems that they've got some very well-renowned speakers talking about a whole range of topics that they want to have basically a seminar about. So it's usually in a sort of crowd situation where they're giving a lecture or a seminar, and you get to find out some really, really cool stuff from all different types of genres.
Yeah, there you go. Technology, entertainment, and design.
Technology, entertainment, design. All right, cool.
It started in 1984 as a conference where these three things converged. And today covers almost all topics, science to business to global issues, in more than 100 languages.
That's excellent. All right, so we'll say, all right, so as you can see, they've got a whole bunch of world-renowned speakers speaking on a variety of topics from a wide range.
So we'll see what it looks like here. Let's have a look at Ray Kurzweil's.
All right.
Pretty interesting guy.
So he's basically giving a seminar. People have filmed it, and you get to listen and watch.
That's right.
And that's fantastic because they're, like I said, they talk about a whole wide range of things, and a lot of it is so very interesting.
So TED, definitely something...
TED Talks, yeah, definitely. It's something that you absolutely should have a look at some point because it's worthwhile.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's just a couple of things that we're doing for fun stuff, and as you know, this segment will continue throughout the series, and we'll try to bring you as many different fun things as we find. Of course, if you have any type of website that you know that you'd like us to look at or showcase on the show, you can obviously get in touch with us on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page.
Yeah, let us know about some stuff that we haven't heard of. Okay, thanks for watching this episode. We've covered a bunch of random things this time.
Yeah, for sure.
A few technical things, some fun things, so we hope you found it useful.
Yeah, and obviously if you want to get in touch with us, please do on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page, which the address should be appearing on your screen right now. And it's always a pleasure to have your company here on PCTV. So we'll see you next time.
Thanks.